be our Caruso side.
The Toronto music scene in general is not as big as it might seem, but I think there's a bit of a disconnect between genres.
Toronto's music scene has diversified and also spilled over into each other. Canada's independent music output is thriving, I think, right now, like more than ever.
And it's also kind of the industry hub, so there's some amazing artists from Toronto, and I think a lot of them sometimes get overlooked because of all the flash going on with whatever the flavor of the month band is at any given time in Toronto, so it's a challenge.
Toronto punk scene, I kind of feel like we're sort of like the outsiders, that when we come and play our shows, if it's at the Bovine or Stinkies, it's kind of like we're infiltrating into the punk scene a little bit. And I see like real punk rockers coming into the shows, and I'm just like, wow.
Are they gonna dig it or not?
Yeah, I know.
We were back on Equalizing Exostort on Sunday night, and that was Losing It from Teenage X. And my first question for you guys is, when did the band form? We co-host the show Equalizing Distort on CIUT FM 89.5 in Toronto.
Toronto bands are so in tune with like the international music scene in terms of hardcore and punk. To just put the spotlight on the Toronto scene. The idea of handing over that microphone that's the whole point of it, really. To be the active engagement in the community sector. Get the community in here and just tell their story. This is the role of campus community radio. Local talent, like this is what we should be doing.
I run D-Trash Records, which is a digital hardcore label.
The radio plays a role.
I have nothing but love for CIUT, community radio, and college radio.
We're trying to capture different perspectives on the scene too, right? Because there's that whole phrase, it takes a village to raise a child kind of thing. Well, it does. It takes many players to make a scene, and they're all super valuable in what they do.
We've just went over 150 releases. There's a lot of different people aboard our pirate ship now.
You can be a bedroom electronica producer who never tours, and within that circle of people who are fans of that music, they'll still grab your album on iTunes.
Toronto has so many great bands. I'm totally passionate and interested in punk rock, so I'll shine the spotlight on the punk scene.
Going to shows these days in Toronto, you see kids from all different walks coming out. You see guys, you see girls, you see old people, you see young people. I just love going to a show. It's not just one small archetype that goes there. There's a lot of people that are coming out to independent hardcore shows. It didn't used to be that way.
And I think what we're doing is important. Be able to give these bands a shot and everyone is able to hear them. And, if you can't make it to the show, or if you live in a different country, there's no other way you'd ever be able to hear about these bands.
It's really cool to see bands emerge and then see, how far they take it, how good they get, how good their songs get, how good their live show gets.
There's lots of shows going on, lots of opportunities for young kids to get established, play shows, put out records, and that doesn't happen in every scene. There isn't that infrastructure everywhere, but right now we've got it, and I think it's great.
Because I think of all these subgenres in punk that exist now, because punk's evolved and developed since 1977. And it's become many things, but it's all still punk. And I don't know, that evolution needs to be tracked somehow.
The name for a band is Life in a Vacuum.
Schizoid plays digital hardcore, which is an amalgamation of punk, industrial, techno, breakcore elements.
Destroy everything! Destroy everything! Come back from the Destroy everything! Destroy everything! You want
For Schizoid, my worst fears, my worst thoughts, my most negative moments are what inspires me to make my music.
There's an energy that you get from playing that I think is what we all do this for, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a way to release all the tension that's built up inside of you from everyday stresses.
A lot of pent-up rage, anger. Sometimes in everyday life you don't really get to vent the way you want.
When we get to play now, it kind of reminds me of when I first really got into punk.
My agenda is basically to take all the negativity I'm feeling and channel it into kind of a musical tantrum, so to speak.
I think something that's unique about Toronto scene these days is that it's well supported. There's lots of people that come out and support new bands.
In the scene, I think it's just about supporting each other, and that's how you get people. When you show a lot of support for your friends' bands, they're going to show it to you back, and that's the most important thing, is getting that feeling of wanting to help each other out.
You have to take care of each other and keep this thing alive, because if no one pulls your show, it'll dissipate.
We're friends. We've known each other forever.
We get to play music that we all really love.
There's not another punk show that's focusing on the hardcore scene, so we look at this as a privilege, but also as a responsibility.
When you're an artist, the motivation to continue making music isn't necessarily a responsibility so much as a duty.
music industry is nothing without the bands and the artists and the people who make and create the music to begin with.
I'm really into like the DIY punk ethic of music, and I think that the line between independent and mainstream is so blurred now.
Now the power is so much more in the hands of the artists, and major labels are becoming more and more obsolete.
Every punk band that I know who's been signed to a major label has been screwed. The lures are success or fame and all this stuff, and what the fuck does that have to do with punk anyway?
There's an industry to be made making money off of people's dreams. Everyone wants to be a rock star or, a celebrity or whatever. You definitely, as a musician, have to be careful about being taken advantage of.
The independent system, it just seems like a better system to me, like the whole DIY network.
And the DIY mentality is tied into doing as much as you can with what little you have. Photocopying stuff, getting out the scissors and cutting apart 4 flyers to 1 page, almost like propaganda.
Branding is everything. It's how you're perceived. You have to market yourself, and you have to brand yourself, so you have to find what your niche is, and you have to decide what your image is, and go from there.
You have to have an image. We live in a pretty superficial society, so I think that image and marketing is always going to be a huge part of music.
It's related down to fashion, just like punk rock though, man. It's all fashion. It's how you look.
You go back to, oh man, it's just about the music, man. But unfortunately, it's not anymore.
Kids my age are saving up all their money to press a 7-inch vinyl. Now, your band has become permanent. You save up and you press a record yourself. It lasts forever.
When it comes to pressing CDs, I'm definitely thinking now to what degree it'll be pirated.
If there was no way for someone to download an independent artist's album for free when they first cut an EP or an album and they wanted to just get it out there to people, no one would hear it because no one's going to drop $14.99 or whatever on your CD if you're not a known artist.
But I just think it's amazing how accessible everything is these days, and I think it's a really cool thing, even though a lot of people might feel differently about it.
The web has just been connecting more and more and more. Everybody knows each other now, and we can all come together and make things happen.
It's also created like just a big cesspool of
garbage.
There's a lot of net labels that exist now.
It can get congested.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is also a good thing too, because yes, there's so many bands and so much just shit out there, but then when you do find the good stuff, it's really good.
I think that the overarching good is that anybody, anywhere, anytime, any place is able to access that music, and you can't just access it apropos of nothing. That's the thing that people forget, is that if something is instantly accessible, you still have to know what it is, or where it is, or how it is.
You have to stay involved online and any other types of media you can to make sure that you're getting the word out there.
I just feel like we got a great scene, and I'm thinking you're missing it.
What do you want to do as a musician? Do you want to play your music? Do you want to get it reviewed? What role in the video game of being in a band do you want to play?
So many stories still yet to be told, and lots of new ones being written every day.